My name is Intisar Duram. I am the senior judge for this competition today. I am an engineer and I am an executive with a large engineering firm. I would like to let Mr. Watanabe tell us a little bit about him before coming to you, the team, to introduce every member of the team.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Louis Watanabe, and I guess, I was one of the founders of Dynamical Systems Research, which was Microsoft's first acquisition back in 1986.
Wow.
Let's see. So I've also worked at Digital Equipment Corporation, where I was a senior software product manager, overseeing the security components of the VMS operating system back in the early 90s. Let's see, and I've also taught business and statistics over at Bellevue Community College in Washington State.
Thank you. Thank you, Louis, so much. Okay, I would like for the team to introduce each one of you. Introduce yourself. Name?
My name is Ali Baghwan Nejad, and I'm studying MBA in Sharif University of Technology.
Awesome. Okay.
Hello. Sorry, I think we have a little bit of lag that causes this. I'm sorry for that. My name is Mohammad Mahdi Mudarresi, but since another member of our group is also named Mehdi, I'm going to name myself as Mohammed, so there's no confusion. I also study finance, but for the purpose of this competition, I'm not going to say which university. I think Mr. Wesley said clearly that we shouldn't mention that. And after me, Hasti is going to introduce herself, then Ghazal, and then another Mahdi. So we have two Mahdis here, and both of them introduce themselves. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hasti Miqati. I'm studying Master of Business Administration with a concentration of human resources and organizational behavior. And I'm part of the Harvesting Consulting Group. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ghazale, and just like Hasti, I'm studying MBA, and it concentrates on organizational behavior and human resources management. And very happy to see you.
Same here.
Yes. Hello,
Okay.
I'm Mehdi, as Mohammed said about my names and difference of that. I'm studying MBA, same as my colleague, and I appreciate to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everyone?
Yes, that's everyone. And well, we're ready to present whenever you are.
All right. Well, I have a short statement to make, some just short instructions, so bear with me. Again, as Wesley indicated earlier, in this part of the competition, you are taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to us, to the judges as well. Please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. You will have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that passes muster on 3 counts. During this time, you are not going to be interrupted. Again, 25 minutes uninterrupted. We will have 10 to 15 minutes after you're completed to ask questions. And again, when doing the questions, we are going to be assuming our fictional identity as well as you. After the formal Q&A, we will take some time to give you some personal feedback. So that's when we kind of go back into the students and we are giving you some outside of the identity feedback. So I am going to keep the timer. I'm going to give you 25 minutes. That starts now.
Okay, with your permission, I am going to start. Good day, everyone. We are here to address key issues facing agricultural businesses, including ethical, legal, and business problems, the roots of these problems in details, and the solution about these issues, which can address two of important sustainable development goals, including promote sustainable agriculture and ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. We are Hope Harvest Consulting, and our team members are Ali Baghwanejad, Ghazale Qurbani, Mahdi Ataifa, Hasti Mighati, and Mohammad Modarresi. We are presenting to you who represent a segment of the agricultural industry and local authorities related to agricultural, industry, and rural affairs. We hope our solution and suggestions empowering your industry, flourishing your businesses, and sustaining your local community. Our initial investigations are about agricultural business nestled in the verdant lands of Gujil within the Falavarjan County, southeastern Isfahan, one of Iran's most illustrious cities. You may know it for its numerous historical monuments, including Siosepol and Haju Bridge, Ali Ghafoor, and Chelsutun Palace. These farmlands flourish amidst a backdrop of cucumbers, leafy greens such as parsley, wheat, barley, potatoes, and onions. From this expansive domain encompassing approximately 8,000 hectares of cultivated land, we have meticulously examined 1,000 hectares dedicated to family-operated agricultural businesses. Despite its historical eminence as a beacon of agriculture in the Isfahan province and beyond, our discernment reveals a less than ideal state of affairs. Notice that the problems which we are going to share is not only their problems, they can be yours or any farmer's either. These agricultural business in this area utilize a traditional irrigation system, employing water wells inherited from their forefathers to irrigate their fields. We discern their endeavor to maximize their land's yield without incurring irrigation equipment expenses, leading them to increase water extraction from their wells and dig new ones. The average water extraction per ton of wheat from wells stands at about 1,400 cubic meters, a staggering 3,800 cubic meters in their possession for a ton of wheat, nearly triple the average. Consequently, your farmer fellows' water usage surges, and they even drill unauthorized wells, drawing repeated reprimands and fines from local inspectors. I'm pretty sure you people know about these fines. This practice escalates the cost of well extraction and put the water resources of the region at stake. 2 decades ago, the water depth which your farmer fellows draw from in this region was approximately 90 meters, according to experts, now plunges to about 250 meters, further inflating extraction costs. Some of their wells have even run dry. In spite of their efforts, the majority of these family businesses in Falavarjan consistently fall short of achieving even the local average yield, which is maintained by only a select few. These businesses harvest a mere 2 tons per hectare compared to the region's top farmers who achieve a yield of 9 tons. Yet, even this figure is considered average in many countries. Our estimations reveal that their expenses are nearly double requiring them to harvest a minimum of 4 tons to increasing profitability to an acceptable amount, a task hindered by several factors which my colleagues will explore later. Financial strains have driven the whole agricultural businesses. Your farmer fellows towards pesticides and insecticides dependency, employing antiquated and environmentally harmful chemicals. Unfortunately, some of your co-workers, even with good reputation in county, compromise quality for quantity. We discovered significant levels of nickel, lead, mercury, and urea in some of their pesticides, contaminating both their soil and produce. Most of these pesticides are even illegal, including phenvalarate and DDT. Furthermore, they neglect post-spray harvesting intervals to expedite market readiness, prioritizing profit over societal well-being. Many of these family businesses with lands find themselves ensnared in a predicament. Diminishing returns and increased toil drive them towards unsustainable practices or repurposing their land for residential use, a trend that persists despite local authorities' efforts to prohibit it. However, some measures have proven ineffective. Our statistics indicate that 130 hectares have shifted from agricultural to alternative use in the past year alone, in just 1 year. Investigations into these conversions reveal profit seeking as the primary motive, exacerbating unemployment among farm laborers and depleting local food resources. Consequently, this threatens food security and drives prices upwards. These challenges are just a few of the ethical and business issues we face. While the effects are evident, the complexity and long history of these issues in the big picture with some serious roots have hindered attempts to find a solution, a topic my colleague Ghazaleh will further elaborate on.
Examining the big picture at the macro level shows that the problems occur in 3 stages of the activities that affect the productivity. First, land preparation until harvest. Second, product transfer to final customer, and then selling stage. In the first stage, one of the main factors affecting the productivity of agricultural activities is the size of the land. According to the average of the countries of the MENA region and Iran, businesses like yours usually have smaller land sizes, with over 75% of land holdings under 50 hectares and 50% under 30 hectares. One of the reasons for this issue was the approval of land reform laws in around 1990. These laws meant to get rid of the old system where a few people owned a lot of land, but after these changes, many farmers ended up with smaller pieces of land to work on. Our enterprise and their neighbors have not made a noticeable difference in the way of irrigating crops using fertilizers and spraying compared to their father's time. This problem has many roots and is another challenge of land preparation. In the first place, the farmers affected by this backwardness of technology have fallen into a poverty trap that causes reluctance to change, and this stems from needing immediate income and a preference for short-term jobs over potentially more profitable farming improvements. At the same time, the lack of opportunity to pursue such solutions to increase productivity is not the only barrier in front of them. In our village, the rate of university education is much lower than in the centers of the province. And even if farmers are taught mandatory basic education, concepts related to irrigation methods and new methods of fertilization, they do not have the motivation to stay in the village and prefer job opportunities in the city. Many of them send their children to the cities for education and a life different from theirs. Government efforts to educate farmers also don't lead to better results. The gap between the needs of the farmers and the support from ministry officials is wide, partly due to cultural and geographical differences, and the fact that these officials often lack expertise. Although the literacy rate among the villagers is not so low, it doesn't include the necessary specialized training for optimal and modern agriculture. Many potential experts face personal dilemmas between pursuing careers in cities or staying in less developed villages with fewer amenities. This issue is not just about farming, it's about the choices individuals make for better opportunities. As seen in the graph, the population in the rural areas is decreasing. Another challenge of this stage is related to information circulation within and to villages. Issues that even if the new methods of irrigation, fertilization, and spraying reach the villages and are used by some, these information methods will not be used by all of the farmers in the village. So that among the farmers of our enterprises neighborhood, we can also see differences between the chosen methods. It can be said in a way that each farmer has only a part of the productivity puzzle at best. Information dissimilarity isn't due to competitive motives between farmers, but rather a lack of incentive to share. The distance between farmers and the final customers is filled with great problems. The second stage talks about all the challenges of transferring products to the final consumers. Getting crops to market is tough for farmers of our firm, facing poor roads, high transport costs, and the risk of their produce spoiling before it can be sold. This often forces them to sell their goods at lower prices to ensure they don't lose everything. Meanwhile, customers end up paying more because of the costs added by middlemen. There are some other challenges in transporting products that my friends will talk about.
Yes, thank you. Now I'm going to talk about poor marketing, mandatory pricing, and inefficient subsidies which may harm your businesses. Farmers face tough challenges in getting their products to consumers. They often don't have enough time or money or expertise to sell directly. Even if they try, it's hard to compete with extensive network of men who control the market. Laws might say farmers should get priority at market stalls, but it's still tough for them because of these reasons, as I said. In simple terms, farmers have to decide, spend time and money to sell directly with no guarantee of success and consequently risk their family's well-being or sell the whole product to a middleman at the farm gate for quick cash. In Iran, there's a common practice called mandated pricing, where the government sets prices for agricultural products to ensure food security and affordability, especially for essential commodities like wheat. This means the government is the only buyer by law, preventing exports that could hurt food security. While the goal is noble, there are problems. Apart from violating farmers' right to their own product, it also decreases production and creates artificial demand. The government faces an ethical challenge trying to balance everyone's interest in the agricultural sector without an easy fix. The government attempts to mitigate the impact of this policy on farming businesses by offering subsidies for fertilizer, pesticides, farming equipment, and providing low interest loans. Additionally, the distribution of these subsidies often depends on factors such as influence, access to information, and familiarity with bureaucratic processes. As a result, smaller businesses, which often need the subsidies the most, are frequently overlooked. Thank you.
Thank you. Me and Mehdi will now continue with the solution. Our proposed solution, as anticipated, takes the form of agricultural cooperatives, serving as collective representatives of marginalized farmers. These cooperatives actually address the challenge of distributing subsidies for agricultural supplies, loans, and education. They play a crucial role in ensuring fair distribution, particularly for those who face difficulties assessing subsidies independently, as outlined earlier. Additionally, they provide a monitoring framework that enhances accountability and facilitates continuous improvement of subsidy programs. By advocating for the adoption of agricultural cooperatives, we aim to promote equitable and effective distribution of subsidies, thereby fostering sustainable rural development. Agricultural cooperatives can also play a pivotal role in facilitating the adoption of new farming practices, optimizing supply chain and marketing strategies, all while minimizing associated risks through economics of scale. By pooling their resources and expertise, cooperatives empower farmers to make informed decisions, accelerating the adoption of innovation and mitigating risks for individual members. Cooperatives foster a supportive environment for farmers to share knowledge, reducing risk when experimenting with new techniques. Additionally, cooperatives harness collective strength to access expertise from research institutions and universities, gaining valuable knowledge while saving on cost and time. Collective actions for managing these businesses as a whole is also crucial, especially considering the significant improvements associated with increasing land size. For instance, technical and unit production costs decrease by 8% with every unit increase in farm size. And 1% increase in farm size correlates with a 1.8% reduction in herbicide and pesticide usage. Larger farms also achieve an impressive 8% to 28% reduction in carbon footprint compared to smaller counterparts. When negotiating with the government, farmers can utilize cooperatives, similar to unions, to participate in setting mandatory prices for their crops. Cooperatives actually empower farmers to collectively voice concerns and safeguard livelihoods, just like unions. However, the added benefit of self-owned cooperatives lies in their ability to align goals and unify against harmful competition, preventing price exploitation by middlemen. This fosters improved communication and understanding among farmers, buyers, and government agencies, ensuring fair pricing and enhancing the long-term resilience of the agricultural industry.
Thank you to my colleagues. With this introduction, we now delve deeper into other aspects of our solutions and results it can actually achieve. The resilience of any solution is just as important as its scalability and profitability. That's where internal funds for loans and insurance come to work. By pooling resources within the cooperative, estimated at 5% of your profit per hectare, we can ensure a resilient agricultural sector. Our safety nets for members offer access to loans for expansions and insurance against unforeseen circumstances. This initiative isn't solely aimed at enhancing profitability in our sector, it's about fostering resilience. In doing so, we also incentivize participation for cooperatives that may only see profit in this cooperative as price setting. Therefore, we answer the problem of free riding, which usually plagues cooperatives and unions. With robust internal support systems in place, we're not merely surviving challenges, we're thriving, regardless of geographical or economic fluctuations. Ultimately, it's about cultivating a community where success isn't just possible, it's guaranteed. Our financial projection centers on the prevalent business model in the area, which might be you, 20-hectare non-dryland wheat farming. We've used fixed prices for comparison to year zero for clarity, omitting inflation effects as they mostly impact costs and profits in the same way. The projected increase in selling price per kilogram of wheat is ranging from 10 to 20% over the next 3 years. This upward trend is primarily driven by enhanced marketing strategies and advocacy efforts between cooperative and the government, as my colleagues explained. Nest costs also decrease, driven by both technology adoption and economies of scale, with a conservative reduction of 0, 5%, and 10% in the following 2 years. We acknowledge the time required for adopting these reductions that reflect the gradual integration and realization of efficiencies. Wheat yield per hectare is also expected to increase by 5, 10, and 15% over the next 3 years. All in all, through this cooperative, business models can witness a remarkable increase over the following 2 years in their net profits. The initial cost of implementing this cooperative is approximately 75 million toman for each of the intended 20 businesses to join. While this sum remains manageable for many, others can use low-interest loans offered by the government with extended payment periods, as previously mentioned by my colleagues. This ensures full ownership by farming businesses while minimizing its financing costs. By year 2, the cooperatives become self-sustaining, and by year 3, those who have taken a loan are able to give them back without an immense increase in their profits that they have managed to accrue. It is also important to talk about the legal landscape, essential for ensuring compliance and safeguarding member interests. Agricultural cooperatives receive support from government through subsidies, financial assistance like low-interest loans, and cost reductions and training programs. Farmers in cooperatives often benefit from tax advantages too. Using these opportunities through cooperatives as their representative and not a marginalized farmer, it will help both the farmers and government in utilizing them for best possible outcome with also accountability. The legal structure for cooperatives has a strong foundation and a long history. The Cooperative Societies Act, established in 1971, sets out this framework, which has been continually updated to meet changing needs. Since its enactment, agricultural cooperatives have consistently been acknowledged as one of the 3 main cooperative types, underscoring their significance for policymakers and their pivotal role in cooperative landscape. This established legal framework provides new cooperatives with a solid foundation and dependable support, aiding them in navigating various legal challenges. Our program offers a comprehensive solution to the ethical challenges too. By pooling resources and knowledge, they enable access to technology and sustainable practices for farmers, alleviating financial burdens without neglecting their responsible resource use. On the other hand, cooperatives ensure government subsidies reach those in need and empower farmers to advocate for fair prices and to be included in the decision-making, paving a better road for ensuring food security instead of price suppression. Our presentation centered around SDGs 2 and 12, emphasizing sustainability and food security in agricultural practices and consumption. We have highlighted the unsatisfactory current rate, one that not only damages the environment, but also presents an ethical dilemma for both farmers and consumers without a clear resolution. We analyzed the root causes of this issue in 3 stages: pre-harvest, supply chain, and pricing. Our solution, which we talked about from financial, legal, and ethical perspectives, might not seem groundbreaking in many countries, but has yet to be utilized in this area due to a lack of education and promotion among farming businesses. It is a solution that has proven effective before, and with the increased literacy rate, knowledge sharing, and media accessibility, its implementation is now more relevant than ever. Our solution not only addresses all the root causes, but also holds potential for scalability beyond our initial focus area. This collective approach fosters resilience, sustainability, and food security, planting seeds of hope for future generations to harvest. Thank you for your time, and I hope that the next time we meet each other, it's be in a board meeting of our new cooperative.
Thank you very, very much for this wonderful presentation and very good ideas that you have presented. We have a few questions for you. So the first one really is, I want to know more about how can the cooperatives negotiate with the government on the fixed pricing when the government has the upper hand? What gives the cooperatives that ability to do so?
Okay, I think I will answer this question. So technically, right now, there is a type of information asymmetry. Some farmers have access to their friends or some maybe family members who have themselves access to these governmental body who choose different plans for their farmers. But with having these cooperatives, we emphasize on the collective action that will happen. It means that there will be a group, there will be some representatives, and there will be no injustice when communicating with the government. That is the main point that we have when we want to say that these cooperatives can actually help communicating by being a collective group which has a representative that is chosen by those members. Yes.
If I might add to my colleague's answer, another thing that helps with them negotiating with government for the prices is the threat of food security. Government already acknowledges this problem and tries to help the farmers to increase their production. The problem isn't that the government agrees that price suppression is the best way. It's that they think it's the only way and they have no other way of doing it. And at the same time, their subsidies doesn't reach those who they want to reach. So if we talk to the government as a collective, the information asymmetry is solved. Not only the government's problem is going to alleviate because the production has increased, there is an efficiency to them. They no longer have to use this method because the production and efficiency of the land has increased. And also the information asymmetry is going to be solved. Those subsidies, even if this way is going to continue, the subsidies is going to reach those that actually need it. That's another point. That's another point that needs to be negotiated, and it's also as important as price setting, because there are lots of money going around through these subsidies. The problem is that the people who is going to use it is the ones with most influence, who have more knowledge about banking. These are not marginalized farmers that we try to represent. We're trying to represent you as a collective so you have that time, that money, and that influence to do so. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Louis, do you have a question?
Yes. So I noticed in the presentation by Mehdi about the impossibility of direct sale. And, produce has a short shelf life. And so, while I think it's great that you've talked about cooperatives, which I think is a very classical approach for farmers to improve the situation. As I guess I kind of wondered why there wasn't much more discussion about the fact that there isn't any direct sales, like a farmer's market or something like that.
if I may answer, I think Mehdi's connection is kind of having a problem. And I was the one that talked with the agricultural ministry about this problem. The problem is not that they can't go there. They actually are preferred to go there, and market stalls are given to them before other middlemen and intermediaries. The problem is that the poverty doesn't let them to take that risk. I mean, they have a produce that they want to sell, but they have two choices: sell them at the farm gate to an intermediary and make sure the quick cash that they need for their tomorrow, for the loans tomorrow, is received, or take a risk, go to the market and sell it themselves. And they don't have the infrastructure to get the produce to the market first. And then even if they did, they couldn't compete with the middleman. They couldn't possibly compete with them. They don't have the marketing skills. They are mostly they mostly have literacy, but not enough to make a sell. They have basic literacy, like primary school or something like that. And even 20% of them even don't have that. It's a skill issue mostly. And the other part is financial issue, that poverty trap that Ghazaleh mostly talked about.
Excuse me, if I may, I'm going to add something else to my honorable colleague about this question. You know, one of the main problems for direct selling, is the government intervention. You know, since the farmers don't have enough bargaining powers and do not have any literacy for selling, and they don't have any good equipment to maintain and store their the things that they produce. The government officials and the government, dealers and the people who have some, money and power come to, farms and counties and buy those produces, those products with much lower prices, and they're gonna make some kind of, a black market, which the cost of wheat, barley, or even fruits are much higher. And when we do this, it's like leaving the farmer alone against the people who have power and take this power from the government. So this solution might not gonna help farmers to flourish and sell their products with much more price.
Yes,
Thank you.
tell the main point, but if I want to add something about this question, basically this farmers don't have knowledge, time, and money for a rented vehicle and something like that to transfer their product to the farming market or something like that. They don't, as I said, basically they don't have the potential of that to transfer that to the market. I want just add something else, but the main point pointed by Ali and Muhammad.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for clarifying. If I may, I would like to kind of circle back to some of the ethical issues that the cooperatives, this system of cooperatives sets up, and especially about food security. So if you could expand for me a little bit about that, how is that helpful?
If I may answer that, as I have talked to the government official more than my colleagues a little bit. My father actually works in the agricultural ministry, and we had a lot of time with him and his colleagues, and therefore I have more knowledge about it, as it is more about laws and stuff like that. The problem is, as my colleagues talked about, the land scale and the outdated practices makes the production in Iran much lower than it needs to be. That causes a food security challenge in itself. The land is much smaller, and you can't reach an efficiency needed for this country in a smaller land. It's a technical issue that cannot be easily solved without economies of scale, without something like a cooperative. So the food security challenge exists. Now the government has a problem too. Either enforce a price lower than it should be and make sure that the food affordability is for everyone, and people, and large amount of people, the whole population can eat, although it puts some pressure on the farmers, which are the small number of people, or take the other road and make farmers happy, but a large population unhappy and not fed. And a food security risk is a very high risk for any government. I mean, it's an existential risk. So that's why the reason that it exists. This is the ethical dilemma that they face. Our solution is good because it solves it without taking one side or the other. It helps the production. It goes to the root cause. It goes to the root cause and finds why this production is so low, and make sure the production is increased so that we can increase, so that the prices come a little bit lower. The middleman is out of the picture, so they don't take the profit, and the farmers can reach a little bit more financial security, and at the same time, the food affordability also increases. And at this moment, the wheat, one of the most important products in any country, cannot be sold to anyone but the government. That's how dangerous the situation is. Not only the price is mandated, you can't sell anyone but the government. And therefore, this is how things have become without a clear solution. And that's why we think this is very important and should be answered through cooperatives.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. Louis, do you have any other questions before we close out the Q&A session?
So as I understand the issue about the farm size being due to land reform in the 1990s, is that what I understand? So so could you give me a little background as to what the issue, I guess what caused it to happen in the first place?
Of course. The issue, well, it is kind of historical, and I don't know if there is a parallel in United States or whatever you are from, but the issue, if I can explain it, it's that there were people, and there were people that were rich, that were very powerful at that time, and they had land, and they owned the land. They had the scale needed, and they were very good at it. But the government tried to, well, kind of left-leaning type of policy. They tried to make the land for the people that actually work on it. We call those who had a lot of land Khans, as in Changiz Khan, that are historical because they were so rich and big. And they tried to take a left-leaning policy and make people happier, especially in rural areas, and to ensure that the risk, as I said, food security risk is something, but inequality is another risk too. They try to alleviate the inequality risk so that people wouldn't riot, and they chose these laws and took the land from people that owned it and gave it to the people that actually worked on it. Those were basically workers and didn't gain anything. And after the Islamic Revolution, there were a lot of lands that were taken from the people that were from previous Pahlavi monarchy, and they were given to the people, the poor people that actually were in the revolution. And that was another thing, another law. This was about 2 consecutive laws in a span of 10 years, maybe, that broke down the land scale in many areas. There's also another thing. This is more about laws, but took a, let's say, religious road, but we weren't supposed to talk about them. We were to take a secular road, and therefore we didn't talk about them in this presentation, but it is actually true too. In Islamic law, when somebody dies, the land is, well, is for his son, for number of his relatives, and it breaks down to many people. And this is a law that they very much is a hardliner focus on, and it's kind of, you can't take a high road on it or don't give it attention. It happens all the time. And when this happens, the land breaks down to many people with no clear ownership, and it causes the land to keep breaking down in generations between brothers and sisters that may not seem eye to eye. Or even if they can't find him, they go to another uncle that even lives in urban city and doesn't even want to work on it. But it goes to them, and if they don't know, and if there isn't law about it, they're not going to merge it. The merging of land by law or anything is very prohibited in Iran because of this Islamic law that doesn't allow it. The land is secure. The land is holy for the people that are related to the dead person. That's why this happens.
Thank you.
That's you know, we have run out of our Q&A session, even though I could go with you for another 15 minutes because your presentation raised so many questions. But now we are done with the presentation part, and I would like to give you some feedback on how you all did, how your presentation. I was utterly impressed. The amount of research and the amount of passion that you showed to the subject. Very impressive. It's kudos to all of you. I like the fact that all of you spoke. All of you handled the questions as well as much as possible. So you really did very well, and I learned something today. So that's great.
Thank you, ma'am. That's very kind of you.
How about you, Louis?
Well, first of all, I was very impressed by your presentations, and I did want to mention, I guess, when I was looking at the financial projections. Okay, so I taught statistics for about 10 years, and it's a very numbers-oriented chart. And one of the problems is trying to present a lot of data in a way that's understandable to people right away. And so that's a place where I thought, well, maybe if you found a chart or something like that, it might help simplify, what's actually happening in your chart. So I thought I would throw that out. But I thought that the slides were quite readable,
Yes.
and so that actually it did aid in the presentation.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Thank you very much for your time. If I may add something, we had a kind of an internet lag, and I was representing and people were talking. The problem with those slight pauses between them is because when the slide changes, I had to even went out and come again into the room. And this was because of internet connection. I'm very sorry about it. We tried very much to fix it, but there was actually no solution. I mean, we tried it very much and didn't happen simply. I tried to make it sooner that they finish so that you can see it as soon as they start, but it might have not been perfect. And for the financial statements, you're very correct. Thank you very much. I guess it was my problem. I studied finance and I was very much into numbers, and I was very much trying to gather all the numbers and show them and to make a good presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You did very well with the time lag. So, my apologies as well for the lag in starting. We all have technical difficulties, and one really should always be very prepared for it. And even though I logged in to the room early this morning and I tried to get in and just get familiar with it, we still have issues. So kudos to you. You overcome that. The technical issues, but yeah, and it really didn't show. Honestly, just I think it flowed really well. Even though you said there was the lag, we didn't notice after you started. It was just part of the presentation. But you stayed in character, which I really liked. you were all very professional, as one should be when you're presenting to a board or to a different agency, different group. So yeah, kudos to you. It was very good. Thank you very much, and it's